Traveling to Consciousness, exploring spiritual journeys to find answers in uncertainty.
What is up, conscious monkeys? Welcome back to another episode of Traveling to Consciousness. As always, I'm your host, Clayton Cuteri, and we are coming to you now from Charleston, South Carolina. This is crazy. If you didn't know, I have made the move. I am now living in Charleston, South Carolina. Goodbye, Pittsburgh. I loved you. It was real. I'm sure I'll be back at some point, but the energy, the universe has taken me to Charleston. Technically, my mailing address is Mount Pleasant, but it is within the greater Charleston area. So if you find yourself down this way, let me know. Maybe we can get a coffee or something. Or don't let me know, because I am so busy. And that is actually why I have missed Monday and Thursday of last week. So I do want to deeply apologize to you from the bottom of my heart for not giving you guys more of an ample heads up. But this is kind of like a little mini catch up with Clayton episode, so you can hear me now, where we are now in South Carolina. I have my house set up. If you follow me on Instagram, you will start seeing some of my backdrops that are amazing. I've got an entire nice little patio in the back that goes into a forest. It's a 3-bedroom. I have a space for my office. I've created actually a guest room that doubles as, wait for it, a movie theater. That's right. I have a guest room that's also a home theater. And then I have my bedroom, of course, which is where all the, well, it's where I go to bed. It's where I sleep. It's where life happens. But I am telling you all of this because everything can change so quickly once you start getting the right knowledge, once you start serving a higher power, once you start serving a vision that is bigger than yourself. So hopefully you're listening to my Indigo Education podcast, because that is what is going to lay the foundation for you to excel, to elevate, to explode out of your current situation and get yourself into a position where you can make a difference in the world. And I'm seeing it myself. I mean, I'm a byproduct of it. I don't know how many of you have been around for the last year or so, but my situation has vastly improved. And I have to give credit to the Indigo Education and, of course, a bunch of people who have supported me as well. My mentor in India, my parents, the people around me who have supported me, who have given me the knowledge and support to take my life, take my journey to the next level. I'll definitely be giving more shout outs along the way, but what is really important for you is to go listen to those Indigo Education podcasts. If you've listened to them once, that's great, but go listen to them again, because I'm telling you, there's so much power in them. There's so much knowledge. So you got to go check them out, because it's what is going to propel you into the next level of your evolution, the next stage of your life. And I mean, I'm byproduct enough, but I'm getting way too caught up in the weeds of this. I'm just super happy. I'm super excited about it. I'm going to be creating a course in the future, just all wrapped up into it, so it's nice and packaged for you. But right now, as it stands, we need to talk about the last 2 weeks in review. We need to talk about what's been going on in the world politics, because things have been kind of crazy. And I know maybe not all of you listen to the news. Maybe you do. That's okay. Either way. But I feel like I need to at least inform you guys, because I told you that I would. So without further delay, let's get into the news. The biggest one, which we kind of covered 2 weeks ago, but it's still a big piece of tension, which is the trade war that has been going on. China has raised their tariffs on us. The U.S. has raised our tariffs on them. And there are some companies that have actually been halting their shipments to China. And who knows? Who knows how this is going to play out? I think I've seen a lot of uncertainty among small businesses, because when you're a small business, you can't balance the budget or the spreadsheet whenever your items get jacked up in price 100, 200%, whatever it is. And so it really is causing a strain on small businesses, is what I have seen. Maybe there's a bigger picture, but you know, my heart always goes out to the little guy. I truly believe and I truly think that we have to take care of the little guy first. That's what America was built on. That's who is serving our country. And so whenever I see these things happening, that's the first people we got to look at and we got to look after, because ultimately this looks like it's going to just crush some of the small businesses. And guess who benefits when you crush small businesses? That's right, the big corporations, which it also is a very, very bad look. Trump tweeted out something about buy now, and then within hours he let people know that he was reversing his decision. And it was kind of crazy because if you look at the indicators, basically there was a massive amounts of call options, which means you predict that the stock is going to go up. So massive amounts of call options basically saying, hey, in the next day, I expect this to go up so many percentage points. And people made millions, maybe billions on it because there was an absolute rocket in the stock market. And it's unprecedented. We were seeing like 7%. And if you know anything about the stock market, it does not fluctuate that much. It's not supposed to. Like 1 to 2 percentage points in a day is like considered something that's like newsworthy. So 7%'s a lot. And to make matters worse, there was a viral video of Trump in the White House congratulating heads of like Charles Schwab, all these bankers, basically saying, oh yeah, he made millions. He might have made a couple $100 million just today. So not a good look, and something that will be interesting to see how it plays out. But in the short term, it looks like small businesses are hurting and corporations are making a killing off of all of this controversy. So not a good look. And then to make matters maybe even a little bit worse, on April 19th, which would actually have been this past weekend, millions marched in U.S. cities to actually oppose a lot of Trump's agenda, particularly the assault on government agencies like Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE. And then there were a few other things, but that to me was like a little, I don't know. It seems a little odd to me to be going after the Department of Government Efficiency. Now, we can argue whether or not they could be doing better, or if they're doing good enough, blah, blah, blah. But I think the massive amounts of fraud that they've been uncovering, I feel like it's a net positive. I feel like Elon's doing great. I feel like the appointment of it is great. I don't know all the legitimacy of it, but I do think that some sort of watchdog looking over the finances of how our government is spending our tax dollars, I think that's super important. I think that's very important. And so high level, I think it's great. I think they've proven, that the United States government is funding terrorism. They've proven the amount of people that are wasting money. I think it even came out that they proved that there's $1.8 billion in back taxes from IRS employees. So IRS employees aren't paying taxes to the IRS, which it's crazy. It's like we need babysitters for everybody, and then you need a babysitter for the babysitter. So it's all just a sham. And quite frankly, I think this really hits home with a policy that I talked about a lot and maybe should have talked about a bit more, which is that we need, and hopefully DOGE, listen, I know there's someone in the White House administration. I don't know who it is that listens to this podcast, but listen, here's what DOGE needs to do. Okay. I'll praise Elon on an entire podcast. I'll tell you how great he is, but what you need to do is you need to create a public ledger. Okay. And on this public ledger, maybe you make it on blockchain. You could probably do it on blockchain as well. On this public ledger, you tell the American people where every single dollar is being spent. I want to know where every single dollar is being spent in the EPA, in the CDC, in DOGE, if they're spending any money, in the IRS, where exactly. Whenever I give you a dollar, how much of that dollar goes to exactly every single organization? How much of it is going to Ukraine? How much of it is going to Israel? How much was used to fund that bomb that killed all those innocent people? You need to tell us exactly where our money is going. And that's just part one. Now, if you really, who again, I'm going to give you a promotion here. Whoever the guy is, maybe you're a girl, that's okay too. Whoever the person is listening in on this podcast, here's what I'm going to tell you. That's just phase 1. Okay. This is really where you're going to get your promotion. Okay. You tell Elon that we make this public ledger and then we put a voting system on it. So the American people all have access to it and they can vote. Now, maybe you need citizenship or something, well, you need a driver's license. But here's what you're going to do. You're going to make it such that the American people can vote on where the money is going. So here's an example. Say in the IRS, we find out that they're wasting all of our money on guns and ammunition. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. The American people get to vote and say, yeah, no, we're not doing that. And they'll give it a plus or a minus. Maybe it's a star rating. And if the star rating drops below 4 stars, or if there's more than 50% displeased with how we're spending the money, then there should be a law. And of course you would need Congress to do that. There should be a law that says that Congress has to immediately address the spending in that agency. They have to immediately address it within a week or 2. Let's say something like that. And because everybody's lawyers, you have to make the language in that ironclad that there is no way that they can get out of addressing it. Because the government is effectively the employee of the American people. And in order for them to remain and remember that they're the employee of the American people, we need accountability. And this public ledger will give us accountability. So listen, Elon's guy, Trump's guy, whoever it is that's listening, you need a public ledger and you need to give the American people the ability to vote on every single category. Let us decide if you're spending the money correctly. Let the American people decide if the money is being spent correctly. And I'm telling you, you do that, it'll be a huge step forward. You won't have these massive protests against the Department of Government Efficiency. Give us the transparency that we desire. Show us you going through these things. Maybe there's not enough transparency. Maybe people are upset because you're not being transparent enough, and that's not me. I think you guys are doing a great job. I think a lot of stuff has been uncovered and, I don't get me wrong. It's going to take a long time, but I'm all on board. I say kudos to what you guys are doing right now. So that's where my heart stands when in regards to DOGE and the public ledger. So go do that, guys. Go. It'd be a great idea. Let's see here. We also had, let me see here. What else happened this week? I have some notes here. I'm trying to see which ones I'm remembering got a lot of notes because guys, I've been out of it. Not like out of it mentally, but just so much going on. A lot of good stuff happening. It did look like actually over Easter weekend, which was kind of cool. It looked like we were going to have a peace agreement with Russia. Russia was saying, hey, over Easter, let's not do any bombing or killing. And it does not sound like Ukraine bought it or was in agreement with it. But even a few days ago on April 18th, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio and President Trump did signal that they may actually abandon peace efforts for Ukraine if no progress is being made. And then President Zelensky of Ukraine claimed that China was supplying Russia with weapons, a charge contemplating the diplomacy. Look, who knows? Who knows? I don't see that as being like it's just silly. Honestly, I find all of these wars just silly. I think it's people flexing their egos and trying to get one over on people when the reality is that we have to drop this competitive mindset whenever it comes to land and sovereignty. We have to come together. I think there's a way that we need to unify. We need to stop having the media creating and sowing distrust between all of us. And I think that would do wonders for the world. It would do wonders for Ukraine. It would do wonders for Russia. So we really need to come together. And the way I see that happening is, well, there's a lot of things that need to happen. But for one, we actually have to look for it. We have to look for it. How can we find the peace? How can we find peace? And everything that I see that gets broadcasted, at least, I don't know what happens behind closed doors. But public facing, it does not seem to me that we are actually looking for world peace. So I see that as being step one, is let's actually look for it, because it's right in front of us. We just have to claim it. Another big thing that kind of was going on was Harvard. Harvard was clashing with the Trump administration over their anti-Semitism task force. An unauthorized letter from the White House on April 11th demanded Harvard stop recognizing pro-Palestinian groups, which escalated tension. The Trump administration called it a mistake, but Harvard accused it of doubling down. And Trump, I think, actually publicly talked about them getting rid of their endowment, which I think was like $8 billion. It was something absurd. I should look up that number. But where I have a hard time thinking about this is like, if the government, the federal government, is giving Harvard that much money, why is there any tuition? Why do people have to go in debt? There's no way. And don't get me wrong, Harvard's a great school, prestigious, sure. I mean, a lot of things you see recently is that maybe it's not. And quite frankly, I do know. And so Harvard, stick with me here. I mean, I'm sure you're great. I'm sure you're beautiful. I know you have great history. But I know of companies that have stopped hiring Ivy League students because they claim that they are all very terrible and not ready for the workforce. They claim that these institutions have gone far too woke and have created terrible candidates. And I find that crazy that Ivy League schools are actually getting blacklisted from their students are being blacklisted from getting hired because they have prioritized being nice and people's feelings over creating the reality, over, how do you phrase this? Over creating great students, creating great workers. And so, I mean, couple that. I mean, I don't know how I got down that rabbit hole, but couple that with the fact that they also are now getting saddled with hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt. Maybe not all of them, but that's how much it costs. And yet we're supplying these universities with $8 billion every year. What in the world? Why do they need that much money? Where is that money going? Why are we giving that much money just to Harvard? And if we're giving it to Harvard, how much money are we giving to colleges right now? Why is there astronomical amount of education debt in our country? That makes absolutely no sense to me. Absolutely no sense whatsoever. It shouldn't exist if we're spending that much money per year. $8 billion. $8 billion. Insanity. Just insanity. I can't even fathom or put into words how crazy that actually is. My gosh. And that's just from the government. I wonder how much money they get from ex-students, how much money they get from the tuition of actual kids. I can only imagine the insane amount of money that college is making, and yet the value that it is creating for society has greatly diminished. And by the way, that's no fault of Harvard. I mean, obviously it sounds like Ivy League schools have been tapering off, but with the advent of YouTube and learning on YouTube, the cost of knowledge has absolutely dropped off a cliff. I mean, I'm going to be putting together a course in Indigo Education, which is, I don't know, it probably won't even be that much money. Like maybe $100, I don't even know what the price is, but compared to $100,000 for 4 years, and I guarantee you the knowledge that I'm going to be teaching you will make you ready for the world. And not only will it make you ready for the world, it's going to teach you the way that the energies work. It's going to teach you how not to just be ready for the world, but how to excel and elevate your life to the fullest extent. I mean, in a year, I went from being broke to making over 10 grand a month, and I'm not even, I'm just getting started. In the next year, we'll see what happens in the next year. I'm not going to tell you guys what's going to happen, but that number is going to grow. I promise you. Get ready. I'm not done. This isn't the end. So giving you guys that knowledge will be far less than $100,000 a year. I'll tell you that much, or for 4 years. And it won't take you 4 years to figure it out. You're going to have maybe 4 months. You'll be able to figure it out and start making some extremely powerful changes in your life very quickly. Very quickly. Yeah, I'm excited about that. I actually cannot wait until I get that out there. But that might be a little bit, right now we're focusing on building I've got a solid team with me, and we're focusing on building, sorry, I'm getting some hiccups. Focusing on building our Instagram, our TikToks, getting stuff out there, really narrowing in our content strategy. So once that starts to pick up, the course will be next. And you guys are going to get so much value out of it. I'm so excited for it. It's crazy. It's just crazy. But yeah, that's kind of like the big headlines. I'll go over a couple other ones. There was a shooting at Florida State University on April 17th near the student union. The suspect was shot within 2 minutes of the 911 calls, which is kind of crazy because schools are supposed to be gun-free zones. So I'm not sure how a shooting could have occurred on a college campus because they're gun-free zones. So not sure how that's possible. So that might be fake news, but definitely look into that for yourself. KFC outlets were attacked in Pakistan. At least 11 KFC outlets in Pakistan were vandalized by mobs, and over 178 people were arrested. Protests were targeted the U.S.-based chain amid unspecified grievances. So I'm not sure what happened there. Let's see. And we had two Pentagon officials were terminated amongst turmoil on April 18th after suspensions, which marked a very chaotic week for the DOD under the Trump administration. Yeah, guys, I don't know. I just don't know. There's a lot of controversy, it feels like, coming out around the Trump administration lately. And another piece of controversy was the deportation of a Salvadoran man, Kilmar Abrego Garcia from Maryland. He got deported to El Salvador. He drew some criticism with Senator Chris Von Hollen calling it a, quote, constitutional crisis, end quote. The administration's plan to send immigrants to a maximum security prison in El Salvador is under legal scrutiny. And what's even more crazy is Trump is actually talking about deporting American citizens, which I think that's just insanity. And, you know, he does these things where he'll test ideas by putting them out on the public, but I think that's just one that's like, dude, that's a line too far. You cannot deport our American citizens. So hopefully he'll correct course on that, because that's like, dude, if you really want an uprising, that would be stroking the flames for it. All right. But other than that, I appreciate you guys for checking in. Thank you so much for being here. I hope you guys had an amazing 2 weeks. I know I did. And we are back to our regular programming. So I will talk to you guys on Thursday. Wednesday, if you want to catch the podcast early, come on to my Instagram at Clayton Cuteri. We will be going live at 9 p.m. Eastern time. So I hope I will see you there. If I don't see you there, then I know for sure that I will see you in the 6th dimension.